Nick, are you there with us?
Neka?
Let's
Good
see.
morning, Neka. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
There
Neka,
you
how
are.
are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. We were waiting for you to jump on here. I'll give you, brief introduction here. Then we'll dive into the numbers, and then at the end we'll go ahead and start with your presentation. Okay.
Sounds good.
Right. So we're so excited to have Neka Jenkins with us. I'll give you her background again in a few minutes, but let's dive into the numbers right away. Today we're going to have an edited version of the numbers because we want to allow a lot of time for Neka to educate us. Okay, here we go. Please take note of the number 408-391-7083. Send all your referrals in the Bay Area to Neka, right, Neka?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. She's amazing. Okay, so these are the numbers from the CAR, right? And then we'll dive into the numbers that Keith has provided us. The federal funds rate in first time in 3 years was raised. What does that mean? What is the federal funds rate? Does anybody know what the Fed funds rate is? Well, I'll tell you because we want to save time, right?
Yeah.
Federal funds rate is the rate that banks charge each other overnight on their excess reserves, right? Has very little to do with mortgage rates, but eventually it will, right? So, but going back in November, remember we talked about the Fed tapering, meaning buying back less mortgage-backed securities, it was going to increase the interest rates. This is March. Guess what? Looking back, it did, didn't it? So
Excuse
all
me,
those
Mike.
things are important, right?
Mike, we're not seeing your slide.
You're not.
You're not. Interesting. I do. I can see them.
Ooh.
Is everyone else having that problem?
Can you see now?
Now we can.
Yes,
No,
I've got
okay.
it now.
Okay.
What could you see otherwise?
I could personally see everything, so I'm not sure what happened there.
It was stuck on Nika's introduction slide.
Oh, okay. So we're good now?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So Fed funds rate, okay, so, all right, it was increased. It's going to increase some more. You know, Fed funds rate is going to be increased what? 6 more times. It says, if you see the one below, it says Fed funds rate target range by 25 basis points. And it goes on to say, the Fed also indicated that there will be an increase in the 6 remaining meetings this year. They will raise the Fed funds. So therefore, the mortgage will eventually go higher and higher and higher, which makes today's rates a lot more attractive, right? So if you hear that from buyers, guess what? It's going to get worse. So therefore, why not buy it now? Does that make sense? Okay, that's the idea. This is not for us to be economists, but for us to know to cancel the noise out there, guys. Okay, I would have spent some more. Okay, the next thing you want to look at is here, the second slide here, balance sheet reduction. You know what that is? Okay, I'll tell you what that is and how it's going to impact the mortgage rates eventually, because that's the amount that the Fed, remember we said in the past, they were buying back mortgage-backed securities. There was cheap money available. In November, they start tapering, not buying as many, therefore interest rates up. Okay, here it says, they're going to get rid of those securities, mortgage-backed securities, either to sell them off, which means they're sucking money out of the system, or letting it expire, just like when you have a CD in the bank. When it matures, your money goes back to you, right? The bank cannot hold it anymore. Same thing here. So therefore, it's cutting down the amount of money in the system, in our economy, to slow down the inflation. So what they're telling us, look forward to higher interest rates down the road. And it's going to be substantial. Why? Because 6 remaining meetings this year, the Fed will raise its rates, and the balance sheet reduction is going to be very, very serious. Okay, all right. However, this is the slide. Can you see that one says active listings climb to the highest level in 3 months? There's hope, at least in the state, right? Now, you will see that from Keith's numbers as well locally, there's a semblance of that as well, but at least we're headed in the right direction, okay? So, however, the last slide, second to last slide, median prices should increase. So with the higher interest rates, right? And everything in the economy, that there's a noise out there, there's markets getting bad, et cetera, not so. The median price should increase further. This is in spite of the interest rates going up. So if anybody says, I'm going to wait because the interest rates are going up, look forward to paying higher prices down the road. Does that make sense?
Can you share it, Mike? We can't see it. We still see the California home sales information. It's not popping up. There we go.
Can you see it now?
No, right now you just have okay, there's the numbers now. Yeah.
What can
now
you see now?
I could see now Keith and Pam and the numbers.
Okay, so but why aren't you seeing this other slide? I
Yeah,
have no idea. I'm seeing another slide which you guys aren't, and I apologize for it. So we'll go to Keith's numbers. On my end, I'm seeing all the slides, guys, and I'm trying to go really fast so Neko can take over and share her success with us, okay? Thank you, Keith and Pam, for the numbers you're providing us here. Can you guys see the Keith's numbers now?
Yes, we see
see it.
that.
we can
Okay.
see it now.
All right, let me go. Okay, so can you see it now?
Yes,
300?
there we go.
Okay. Inventory for sales were down last year, okay? They were down by 20.3%. Pendings slightly up for the month and up by 7.4%. Solds are down substantially, right? Again, median sell prices keep going up and up and up, and there's a semblance of hope because inventory went up slightly. At least we're heading in the right direction, not enough to make a big impact as far as availability. And guess what?
We have one more week to go.
Was that?
We have one more week to go, so it's probably gonna flip.
Okay, got it. And then original list price to sold price, again, sellers are getting higher than asking price. Just to give you a bird's eye view of where things are going here, for sales are down, pendings were up. Solds were down, obviously, because of inventory. And guess what? Median prices way up. Again, if buyers wait because they think the interest rates are going to go up, it's going to slow things down. They are telling us, and they've been very accurate, going back in the last 2 years, how prices have been going way, way up. Anybody that waited paid a very stiff price for it. Inventories slightly hit up, and then of course, sellers getting more for their property. Okay, so going on to NECA. I want to welcome NECA Jenkins to Keller Williams, Glendale, Burbank, and La Cañada Ford Friday. Okay, on March 9th, NECA was one of the featured speakers at the CAR Tech Experience event. This was a great event. This was a great event, and only verified and successful professionals are invited to speak at this event. I attended last year too. They were very good. While there were several great speakers, NECA without a doubt was the best one in my opinion. Right after the event, I called her to see if she would do a presentation for us. I thought, if I don't ask, the answer is always a no, right, guys? So I called her, and she was nice enough to say yes. Okay. So NECA, for the first 2 years, NECA worked as a part-time agent in real estate while she had a full-time job. She went from selling 6 homes in her first 9 months in business to 150 homes in her 6th year.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So without further ado, NECA, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and share with us how we could all grow our business just like you. Take it over, NECA. Great having you on board.
Thank you. I really appreciate that warm welcome. And you've been great. I've only known you for a couple weeks now, but I really appreciate you reaching out and being so patient to allow me to be on here. I'm honored to be here. Honestly, Keller Williams has my heart. It was the first brokerage that I was with when I first became a realtor. And I really love that you guys focus so much on educating your agents. There's so many brokerages popping up out there that they don't really put an emphasis on teaching their agents. I say this all the time. I think one thing that our industry as a whole sometimes lacks is the transparency and people teaching each other, right? Because we all, unfortunately, so many people see each other as competition. But if we really want to elevate this market and this industry, we all have to work together and teach each other and stop looking at each other as competition and have more of an abundant mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. So I'm super grateful, and I love being in this presence. And I'm going to basically share the things that I feel like have helped me, and some of the things I still struggle with, but I constantly remind myself that it's the things that I need to do to get me where I want to be. Right. So, so a little bit about me, like you mentioned, my stats, but personally, my husband and I work together now. We retired him out of corporate America about 2019. We have 6 kids together. I have a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old. Both of those are stepdaughters, but I don't call them step because I've been in their lives for about 14 years and their family. So I don't take anything away from their mother, but I am a big part of their lives as well. And it feels wrong to call them step. So anyways, and then I have 4 kids of my own with my husband, ages 6, 4, 1.5, and 8 weeks. And I'm saying all that not to bore you, but I'm saying that to say any mothers out there, any wives out there, any women out there, especially, this idea that we can't have it all, quote unquote, even though I don't think I have it all, but I definitely feel extremely blessed. I think it's a myth. And I think the more we talk about the how we got where we are and the help that we have to continue on this path, the more other people will feel encouraged, motivated, and capable of doing the same things and reaching the same success. So that's why I always bring up, my family structure and everything I've got going on, because I want to tell everybody out there that thinks that they have too much going on or can't handle it, that they can. So thank you for listening to that spiel. So let's get into it, because I'm really excited to just share some of the things that I think have helped me grow. I'm going to kind of go in order, similar to what the presentation I did with that Mike heard me on. The first thing that's so important is ignoring self-doubt. I think it's so critical to literally remind yourself that anytime a thought comes in your head, we're talking to clients all the time, we're talking to friends and family all the time, and you never know where conversations are going to lead. And, you don't want to be so transactional about everything, right? It's a relationship business. But at the end of the day, so many of us have this talk track in our mind of, they don't want to hear from me. They don't want my business. I'm sure they know a realtor. I'm sure they already know this. All of those things that we say constantly in the back of our mind is keeping us from what we know we want to do, what we know we're good at. And what I mean by that is, if you're leading from a place of the information that I have and the way I know how to do my business is beneficial to other people because you believe in your abilities, then you're not bothering anyone. And so all that talk track in your mind of, they don't want to hear from me, they're going to hang up the phone, they don't want to see me, they don't want to hear me talk about real estate again. All of that is nonsense. A really interesting story. My first year full-time, the first year that I was full-time, I did 36 deals. And that was after doing part-time for 2 years. And one of the things that was so critical is I sat right next to our then ISA. And she's now one of the top agents. Her name is Kelly Baldwin. I sat right next to her, and she's an ISA. So she's paid to call all the time. She's calling for the brokerage. She's calling for the agents. I would hear her on the phone with these people, and some would be rude to her. Some would hang up on her, all of that. She'd just keep dialing. She'd be on that triple line dialer on Mojo, right? I started calling because, that's what we were supposed to do, right? So I would be calling, and then I would get frustrated, or I would have an appointment and someone would say, no, I'm not interested. I already have a realtor and and whatever, but they'd keep talking. Well, I was big on, well, I don't want to bug them. They said they don't want anything to do with me. So, hang up the phone or just be done with it. She would literally turn to me every single time something like that would happen and be like, call them again next week. Put it on your calendar. You're going to follow up with them. And I'm bringing that up because that was the very first example of her over the next month or month and a half telling me, because the person's name was Eric, and kept telling me, call him again. Call him again. No, he didn't tell you not to call him anymore. Call him again. It's a smokescreen, reminding me all those things. And just because I loved her, I didn't believe anything she was telling me. I thought I was being annoying. But because I loved her, I listened and I kept calling him. And you know what? I ended up selling his home. This is a guy that had a realtor. I spent 6 hours one day on a Saturday in my office talking to him. He had a realtor the whole time, but he wanted to hear, it was a smokescreen. And 6 hours one day, sold him a home. Got invited to his home the very next day, sold his home. And then after that, he referred me to people, all from a guy who said about 17 times, I have a realtor. I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I don't, I don't need your services. I'm just thinking about it. So once that happened and I saw how, it was like the perfect thing to convince me, Nneka, you've done it before, and stop thinking that you're ignoring people until they tell you, do not call, until they tell you, lose my number, to put me on that do not call list. You call till they die. That's what Kelly says all the time. And I stopped thinking that I'm bugging them because I know I have value. I know how hard I work. I know that if they're the right people for me, the right business for me, I know that I can help them, gain some wealth through their properties. I know that I have the resources to do that. So if you lead from that place, you're literally not going to self-doubt yourself, because you're going to remember that if they don't want your services or they're not ready for them, okay, move on to the next. So that's a big thing for me. If you can capitalize on that, ignoring self-doubt, I think you'll really see your business grow, and you'll be seen as that expert to all of your sphere, all of your friends, all of your family, and they will come to you, referrals, whatever the case is. So that's the first thing. The second one is FaceTime. So we all know how COVID has changed everything. We're on, and please interrupt me, go in the chats if you have questions. I'll try to read them, or, maybe Mike, you can help me if anyone has a question. I really like this to be interactive. I don't want to just be a talking head. FaceTime is super important. Even before COVID, getting them in your office, getting them, it's kind of a reciprocal, a psychology to it, right? When people go the extra mile to meet with you, you can already sense that they're committing to listening to what you have to offer, and they're probably more engaged and ready and willing to do business with you. So then you're able to reach them on a different level when you're in front of them, right? Your ability to influence is far greater in person or with FaceTime than it is on the phone or via text message or via email. So the more you can go in for the close, like I always say to my agents now, it's like, you don't say, well, when are you free next week for us to get together? No, you say, does Tuesday at 2 p.m. work for you? Great. I'm going to add it right now. Boom, done. Before you get off the phone, did you get that text message? Did you get that calendar invite? I'm telling you, when I sit there and put myself in their shoes and I have somebody trying to sell me something and I've got all this other stuff going on, like solar, we had solar on our house, right? When they're trying to talk to me, even if I like what they're saying, I've got all this other stuff in my mind, the kids, the bills, the this, the that, the trip we're taking next week, right? So the more you, as a salesperson, you can get to the point and make it easy for them, the more they're going to say, yeah, that works. Oh, cool. You sent it to my phone. Awesome. They're already get to move on with their life, and they don't have to worry about, oh, well, next week I have this and I have that. And the conversation just becomes I'll just get back to you because I'm really busy right now. And then, they never get back to you, right? So getting that FaceTime appointment is super critical. And when they are in front of you, you maximize on listening to what they want, right? This isn't a time where I don't care if you're brand new, because I was brand new and I still was able to do 36 deals that first year. When you're in front of them, you're going to be terrified. If you're a newer agent, you're going to be scared. You don't know them, all of that. It's less about you trying to prove to them that you're worthy. And it's more about you listening to them, and through the answers you give them, through the advice that you give them, you peel in there a little bit, your accolades, right? So you're not just going there and saying like, sitting there and trying to win the business of like, this is how amazing I am. It's not about you. It's about them and it's about their house. And this is a big decision. They do want to know that you're amazing, but you sent them a follow-up email before you met with them, right? You sent them a high note presentation, all of the tools that Mike and the Keller Williams team has been teaching you guys to follow up with people. That's when you show them your accolades. When you're in front of them, you're building a rapport. And you're trying to get, is the wife a D? Is the husband more submissive? But who's making the decisions? Who do I need to appeal to in a different way? That FaceTime, I tell my agents all the time, real estate is probably 80, 85, maybe even 90% psychology, right? Understanding people and understanding how they make decisions and why they make decisions is really a big part of how and why you can be successful. I don't know if there's any questions, but I'll just keep going. So be social. So I don't know how many of you are on social media or participate in any of those things, but if you're not, I really, really encourage you to reach out to me so I can tell you more reasons other than the next couple minutes on why you need to be on there. Whether it's FaceTime, Instagram, TikTok, I don't care. Whatever platform you like, you need to use it and you actually need to be social on it. So a lot of times people have it and they're just kind of watching and looking and all of that. Your friends and family, especially, and friends of those people, they need to know what you do. So if you're the kind of person like, oh, I don't want to, bore everybody and tell everybody, why not? Why not? It's what you do. You don't have to come from a place of every 2 seconds you're talking about it. If you look at my social media, I treat it like my personal page and my professional page because this is just who I am. But you have to actually interact with people on there because unfortunately with COVID, even though we're kind of coming out of it, people are very used to just being behind their phones and communicating that way. And they think they're building relationships that way. And they're starting to build relationships that way. But you finish that off with FaceTime, like I mentioned on number 2, right? So you really want to be social, interact with people on there, comment back with people, have conversations, and then take it elsewhere. You'd be surprised how much business or referrals I do get now through social media because it's an extension of everything I'm already doing. I personally get a little bit stressed out with too much social media, so you have to know yourself, but whichever platform you actually like and can see yourself getting on at least a couple times a week, take it to the next level. Okay. Don't be undercover. I've kind of laced this in with the other things, but the thing I did wrong the first probably 3 years, 2 years part-time, and then the 3rd year is I was an undercover agent. I had my, don't be a secret agent, Holly. Yeah. I had my best friend randomly text me, hey, Nneka, I saw this house. I want to see it. One of my closest friends, and I didn't know she was in the market. I didn't know anything, right? And so I'm still in secret agent mode. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I could open the door for you, like a professional door opener. Like I quit my job to be a door opener, right? And so I was like, yeah, of course, I'll go take you. Never once did I ask her what her plans were. Never once did I ask her, are you actually in the market? Nothing. So I showed her probably 3 homes, took some selfies at some homes, like it was fun, whatever. Again, secret agent. I was doing all this business for other people, but when it came to my best friend, I wasn't even asking for her business. So fast forward to she's getting a little bit more serious about it. She has a home to sell. Also, I've been to her home many times. I know her kids, our sons are the same age. And one day she messages me, or maybe she said it in person. She goes, Nneka, why aren't I seeing homes from you? I said, what do you mean? She goes, I'm not seeing any homes from you. You're not sending me anything. I said, wait, what? And she goes, listen, I bought a house a long time ago before, like when I knew you, but before you were a realtor, and that realtor keeps in touch with me. And I feel bad that I'm not going back to that realtor, but you're one of my closest friends. So why aren't you sending me any homes? I mean, I literally was like, oh, okay. Well, I told her, I was honest with her. I said, I didn't want to bug you. I didn't know what you were doing and all that. She said, Nneka, stop it. Send me some homes. What are you doing? Just send me homes. From that moment, I realized even your closest friends that you think are never going to sell or buy, that's not the point. They still need to know what you do and how good you are at doing it, right? And you need to still somewhat prospect to them, if that makes sense, because when they're having conversations with friends at work or whatever, they're going to remember, oh, no, yeah, Nneka does that. oh yeah, it's out of area, but you know what? She has a team. I guarantee you she has an agent over there. And you know what, Keller Williams, you definitely have an agent everywhere, right? So I ended up selling 2 properties with her and I'm her go-to, right? But she had to remind me to advocate for myself. Once again, that's been like literally the story of my life, right? Other people reminding me like, you know, hey, you're good. Like, why don't you do more? Like Mike reaching out to me and asking me to speak on this. I'm like, really? What? Huh? Okay. So I'm saying that to say, if your best friends, if your friends, your family are not on your you know, we use Boomtown, whatever CRM, I forget what it's called, Connect or something with KW, I apologize, but whatever system you guys have. The other thing that was really critical for me is in the beginning, I didn't use the systems. I don't know why I didn't put any of my people in there. The only people that would be in there is like the company generated stuff, right? And it took me probably till my 4th year to actually use the system. And I'd honestly say up until last year, I really didn't use it as well as I am now. Like probably starting last year, when you get people in there, it's just a way to keep them all in, you know, organized, right? So you can put an asterisk next to someone that's your best friend and just say, you know, maybe a do not call or whatever, but you have their email in there, you have all this, and maybe you send them a market update. Maybe they don't own a home. I was younger when I hopefully I kind of still young, but a lot of my friends are not homeowners yet, but I know which area they like. So I'll still send them a once a month. I don't bug them every week. Once a month, I'll send them, hey, here's your Willow Glen update, or here's Mountain View, how things are going, so that they're constantly having the back of their mind, hey, at some point I do want to buy, it might not be right now, but NECA is my go-to, right? You want to always remember that. So that's huge. And that actually leads me into number 5, CRM or bust. Again, if you're not using your systems to send e-alerts, or I don't know if they're called e-alerts for on every system, but to send properties to people as a buyer or a seller, and you're not, you know, the minute you get a buyer in a contract, switching them to a seller so that you're sending them once a month so that they see how their home is doing. If you're not using it to send properties to people, to have automatic drip sending to people so that the systems can stay in front of your people, right? So that you don't have to always be like, oh, I forgot to message that person and this and that. You have systems, use them so that you can stay in front of people, and then you follow up with a message. And you'd be surprised how many times I get emails because my system sent them out an email about interest rates. Those slides, I don't know if you noticed, I took a picture of the slide that Mike had. Literally, probably in the next week or 2, I'm going to use some of those stats that he brought up and really speak to the market with my buyers and my sellers to show them I'm the neighborhood, or I'm the expert that you need in this market. I understand and I stay close to what's going on. I have these valued lenders that are telling me what's going on. My brokerage stays on top of it. And then they're always going to feel like they can come to you with their real estate questions, right? So when you stay in front of them with those automatic drips, it's just another pillar of your business to make sure you don't lose traction with those people that maybe are passively looking right now, or not trying to sell for the next 3 or 5 years. They'll remember you later. The next one I want to talk about is create a process. I don't care if you're a solo agent. I don't care if you're on a team. I don't care if you're part-time right now and thinking about going full-time. Everything that you're doing, start to document it and create a process with it. Because when you do decide to grow, if you do decide to grow, it's going to be that much easier for you to hire and not feel like you have to take a slow down. You have to slow down with your business just to train this new assistant, or train this new showing assistant, or this new buyer's agent. So start documenting what you do and start automating things that you do. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how many of you have iPhone, and I apologize, I can't speak to Android, but there's a lot of tools in iPhone to automate things. So for example, if you go to settings and it's called text replacement, there are things that I text the same thing to people all the time. If you find yourself rolling your eyes while you're texting, like, oh, here I go texting that same exact spiel, you need to copy it and you need to turn it into a text replacement. For those of you that don't know what I mean, that means that I go to my phone, And like, for instance, whenever I message an agent for a showing or just anything, I put a little signature there, and my signature has my name, comma, my DRE number, and then it has my website, and it has my company name. And then I think, oh, I put 5 stars, literally, so that they remember to always give me 5 stars. That one I learned from someone. Maybe it's Linlin. I forget who I learned it from, but that's good because that's a psychology thing, right? So if I get a Zillow Flex call and they answer and they have to leave me a review, hopefully they're seeing those 5 stars and they're remembering, oh, okay, yeah, 5 stars. She was great. So I go to my phone when I text someone and I simply write the word. This is the shortcut that I gave for my phone. I get to set this. The word work me with no space. WORKME. That's my reminder that when I text someone, I write the words work me with no space. You will start to see it auto-populate with the full version of what you set up in text replacement. So then it just automatically does that. And then I put my phone down, I move on to the next thing. So I have a long spiel. It's like on the text, it's like, it looks really long, of when I introduce someone to a lender. And so part of my process is I don't email, both parties. Emails get lost and people forget. I sometimes will ask permission, other times I won't, but I will do a group text message with the lender and my client, right? And I literally have a spiel I have 3 lenders that I kind of use for different clients. And so one of them is called, my lender's name and then intro. And then it literally has the long spiel of, they've known to be to close in 21 to 25 days. I'm using keywords like they are similar to your Bank of America or Wells Fargo because of this. Their interest rates are unmatched. They have worked with several of my clients in the past. I have that whole thing on there. And then when I automatically apply it by saying, say his name was Mike intro, right? When I automatically type those words, it does the whole thing. Then I go in there and I edit a little bit based on the client. Boom, done. 2 seconds, it's done. So I created a process to do that so that I don't feel like it's another thing. I'm notorious for this. It's another thing I have to write down in my book to do. Introduce da-da-da. You just spoke to that person. They're eager right then. They love working with you and they're like, yes, can you please plug me with your lender? You say, oh yeah, absolutely. Literally, you could do it while you're on the phone with them, or you do it within 5-10 minutes afterwards so that it's done. It's not a to-do item you have to worry about checking off. And it takes 2 seconds. So you don't feel like it's going to take you a while. And then I often see them respond on there. My lender's good about responding on there. And it creates a synergy to the process for your clients to where they feel like, wow, when I work with NECA, I get this whole team and they're like right there at our fingertips and they're responding. My Bank of America agent didn't respond that quickly. It takes me 2 weeks to get a pre-approval, right? You're showing them who you are, how you do business, and how many people are in your sphere that you can have on a quick text message like that. They're not going to another lender, guaranteed. They're not, okay? So let's move on to the next one. Remember the little things. This one is huge because I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't speak this into existence, but I'll say it better. My memory can be a bit challenging at times. I'll blame it on the kids I've had. So because of this, I take notes on everything, but I don't take notes just in my notepad for what I'm about to talk about. I take notes in my phone. So I meet a new client, I meet a new person, I meet a new friend. You have in your address book in your phone. I don't know about Android, I apologize, or any of the other phones, but in an iPhone, you have a note section below. You have all of these. I mean, it wants you to put info in there. You have birth date section, you have anniversary, you can change different things, all of that. The minute I add them to my phone, I immediately put notes for me to remember, because you meet so many people, right? Whether they're colleagues or whether they're clients, you want to remember how they told you about their dog that is going through surgery or whatever, or they told you about their 7-year-old who just had a big birthday party, whatever that they told you in that first meeting. You want to remember some of those things. And I'm big on little things just in general, receiving or giving. So when you jot that down in your address book, next time you talk to them, maybe it's 2 months from now, but when you ask them about Charlie's birthday party that was coming up, you know how special they're going to feel? Like, I can't tell you how many times that's just made people feel like, wow, you know, Nneka, I know you're super busy and you've got, you know, a lot going on. You've got a lot of your own, and you remembered my kids, you know, whatever. I make it a point to remember it. You know, it's deliberate. So that's super critical, because also when they call you for that listing appointment or something, there's already this trust, there's already this rapport that's been built. And now you're just going there and it's like those list me calls, right? Like, can you come and just list my house? And you're still thinking you got to earn their business. They've already feel like they know you. This is why social media is so good and important, because they already feel like they know you. They already feel like they're just blessed to have you come and help them with the process, right? So it's about building that rapport with them. This next one is so cool to me because I am terrible at it, but when I do it, it always, always reminds me that I need to do it more. Ask and you shall receive. Ask, ask, ask. I'm never good at asking for referrals directly because it feels weird, but I'm telling you, when you do it, you will feel so much better about the fact that you got out of your comfort zone to ask, because you will be surprised if somebody likes you, they want to return the favor in some way. If you've done something for them, or if you've taken them through a process, they want to reciprocate. So one of the things that I've done, because it is still uncomfortable for me to ask in person, is I have an automatic email that goes out after the transaction's done, and it literally embeds the links that I want them to review me on, right? So Zillow, Yelp, Google, and what's the other one I do? There's a fourth one. I can't remember right now. It'll come to me. And I literally embed it. You know how you'll put like review me here on Zillow, and then you hyperlink that phrase, right? You're not sending links. We're gonna make sure this email looks good. And you say, do you have, I really hope you enjoyed working with me, and I can send this later to Mike and he can distribute it, but there's so many different templates that you can use, right? But you go in for the ask, you want to be direct about it. And then another trick that one of my mentors taught me, Brett, who I'm still partnered with, he's my partner in my business, Brett Jennings, is you always want to, people want to do favors for you. So one time he did this challenge, and he said, we're going to do a challenge in the office who can get the most reviews in the next 60 days. Right. And then he said, take it a step further, tell your clients that you have a challenge to become the most reviewed in the office, and see how many reviews that you get. So I sent an email out and said, hey, we're having a challenge in the office. I really loved working with you, and I really hope you appreciated, my work for you. I really have a goal to be the top rated agent in the office. I'm really close. Can you do me a favor and click on the links below? The first one, write your review, select it all, copy, paste it to the other one, super easy. You want to tell them that, because the minute they see you ask for something and they think, oh, I've got to log in and no. Just copy and paste the first review that you do and do it on all 4 of these. And I'd super appreciate it. They're more willing to do it. You gave them instructions and you made it super easy for them, and you gave them links. When I did that, I got more responses like, absolutely, I want to help you win. You helped me win with my property, right? That's how they're thinking about it. So you can use something like that or make up your own. Holly, yes, I love the idea too. So he gave it to me, and I've used it so many times, and it's helped my Zillow presence and all of that online. So the next one I want to do is the last one I want to talk about is listen for clues. What I mean by that is oftentimes we go to these listing appointments and we forget to ask. This is the most important question that I start with. And, my mentor, Brett has taught me this from the beginning. One of the first questions you need to ask when you go to a listing appointment, or even when you're on a buyer consultation, is what's most important to you, right? So for the buyer, what's most important to you? How fast do we find a home, right? Are they in a lease? Do they have to sell, all that? How fast do we find your home? The price of the home, the location of the home. Once you ask them these kind of a little bit open-ended questions, you get them talking, you see what they tend to talk about most. So we just had a listing appointment last night, and the property is beautiful. And I actually thought he would say most amount of money and and all of this stuff, because we can do that for him. He said, no, I want it ASAP. And tax day is coming, so we can't be selling around tax day because everyone's going to be stressed out, shelling out money to the IRS. So it needs to be even before that. So my follow-up email to this person is going to be more about how quickly we can get it on market. we can get, we can get overwhelmed with trying to make it about us and like, I want to make it so perfect and I want to stage it this way and I want to do all of these things. But we know the market we're in. We know the interest rates are rising. We know people's buying power has been stifled because of rising interest rates. And if they pulled their money from stock, they don't want to put it back in because, the market is volatile right now. So with all of those things, if we're not focused on what the client actually wants, they're going to go to the next realtor who told them, I can sell your home as is. We don't have to do anything. Yep, I'll get it on the market next week. So you have to listen for clues. If they're talking so much about speed, you focus on speed. If they're talking so much about the amount of money they get, you need to hone in on your marketing presentation on how you're going to get them the most amount of views and all of that stuff. But oftentimes we go into an appointment and we have everything ready and we've practiced and all that, but we forget that everything that we have in our brain to say, none of that matters if they're thinking something else. So sometimes I've gone into an appointment and I thought that they were going to be ready for me to do, show them my whole marketing plan, all that. They just wanted to chat. They wanted to learn, understand the tax implications. They're probably a year out. So did I go into my full on in-depth marketing presentation of like how I'm going to market their home and all of that stuff? No, I listened for clues. And as we were building the rapport in the beginning of the conversation, I realized that where they're at was a little different than what I was expecting. And so I'm appealing to that. I hope that makes sense. Mike, is there anything else you wanted me to touch on?
Wow, what do you say? Woo! Was that fantastic or what? Now you got to see why, and I will tell you this, why I enjoyed your presentation the first time. And by the way, I told Neka, I said a couple of days ago, I said, I think you should write a book. And she says, you're the second person who told me that today. So when she writes a book, make sure you buy it, right? Right on. So let's have some questions from our agents, see what they have to ask. And you're awesome, obviously, and we appreciate it. And
I have
by the
some
way,
questions.
please send all your referrals to NECA.
Thank
If you don't have her contact information, get in touch with me. Wouldn't you be proud to refer your clients or loved ones to an amazing professional like her, right? She's been so generous and kind to share this time with us. Go ahead, ask the questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
I thank you so much for your time. It's very pleasure hearing you and talk with passion. My name is Susie, and I have 3 questions actually. When do you put the ad on social media? You mentioned about just take one and do it, be present. When have you experienced that it's a good time to do it?
To just make sure, let me make sure I understand the question. To put your ad on social media, what do you mean?
Correct. To post the information or put an ad or, just anything, just to be
Understood.
connected with your influences.
Understood. Okay, so now, like ASAP is the answer, but do you use social media right now? And if so, what platform?
Very light, not too strongly. I mean, I do have Facebook, Instagram, and I don't. Really,
Which one do you use? Which one do you like the best?
I like Facebook more.
Okay.
My opinion.
Then you need to stay on Facebook and use that. And the reason I want to be very clear about this, and I didn't touch on it. Facebook to me, for my friends, family, SOI, most of them are not on Facebook as much as they're on Instagram. And I like Instagram. So I tend to be more on there, but Instagram and Facebook, obviously same company. And I model everything that I post on Instagram. I literally post also on Facebook,
Sure,
but my engagement is not as good on Facebook. And that's a bad thing I'm trying to work on. So for you, because you already have a Facebook, you need to make in my opinion, for Facebook, you should make a professional page. It actually links with your main page. Okay. And you can easily post between the two. I'm not a Facebook expert when it comes to all this stuff, but that's what I think works for Facebook. Whereas if you're an Instagram lover, you should really merge the two, meaning have one page where it's kind of your
I
personal
agree.
and professional. If you also want to have another personal one that's like private and only like 30 people, it's your closest family and friends, you post a billion pictures of your kids, do that. But for me, I've decided to merge the two, and I'm just careful
Yeah.
with the stuff that I post. Okay. So for Facebook, they have a professional page, and they have different things that you can do on that professional page. So if you ever feel like, I don't want to inundate people with too much of my professional stuff, you post on your professional page, but you get to leverage the fact that you have all your followers on your personal within the same login. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't matter what time of the day you post it
No,
or the weekends.
No.
Do you
Mm-mm.
do pay ads at all? Any
Yeah,
pay ads
great
on the?
question. Let me answer the first part. Does it
Sure.
matter what time of day? You know, everyone gets caught up on the algorithms and this, that, and the other. Don't worry about that stuff at this point, because sounds like you're starting and you're wanting to do this. Just post. And then when people respond, just respond. And when people are constantly responding on you, go and look at their pages and see what they've got going on. One of my agents told me this the other day, and I think it's critical. We all think about prospecting and we think that means calling. It does. But when it comes to social media, you know what prospecting means? It means you are diligent and you go on your page and see who's interacting with you the most, see who's liking everything with you the most. Go spend 2 minutes and go look on their page and show them some love, like their stuff, comment on their stuff, build relationships. You would be surprised how much they say, hey, oh my gosh, I've been following you for a while. This has happened like 5 times in the last week alone. I've been following you for a while. Thank you so much for coming to my page, whatever. And you start talking. Same thing on Facebook. So when you think of prospecting, have a prospecting version that's for social media. And that's where you're going to start posting a little bit more personal stuff that you feel comfortable posting, and also posting professional stuff. Now, the professional stuff doesn't have to look so stale, just sold, in contract, whatever. Fit those in, absolutely. But you know what you can do? You can go to your just sold and stand in front of the sign in the front lot and take a selfie, and it still says pending. You're sending the same message, but people see your face, which literally psychologically, they're going to like it more when they see your face, not just this picture of this house. Okay. So you take a selfie, or maybe you take a little video and you say, I'm so excited. My clients, we just went pending on this home. Reach out to me, or you're with your dog or with your kid or whatever. And you make it more personal. Say, so excited. We're doing a family day and I brought my kid and we're looking at this property that we just put into contract. You'd be amazed how much more engagement you get from stuff like that, rather than the stale just sold sign, like just sold picture on your page.
Perfect.
So I would
Thank
do it
you.
now, all of that. I hope I answered all your questions.
Yes, you did, actually, very detailed. My last question, if I may,
Yes.
how do you input them, your clients? Let's say I sold a property to a buyer, and then I'm putting them in my database for the monthly newsletter. After it's already, first you would put them as a buyer, right? So they get buyer's newsletter. After you sell it to them, do you put it as a buyer seller, or you just leave it alone? Or
No,
I usually
no.
change them to buyer and seller, because I don't know if they're going to buy
Absolutely.
investment or if they're going to be selling their home soon. So
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because you're right. Earlier, I said just change them to a seller, because you just put them in a property.
Right.
But you're right. Most of those people will start to see, especially here in California, how much equity appreciation they're getting. And so sooner rather than later, you should be sending them a CMA and saying, hey, you're probably not ready to sell, but do you know how much equity you have in your home? Maybe we can leverage that and get you an investment property. I remember you telling me you wanted to start your real estate portfolio. So you're absolutely right. Immediately, I change it. And this is why number 6 was create a process. You should live and die by your calendar. In my opinion, that was the biggest thing that I did to change my business. Is everything is on the calendar. Everything, dinner time with my kids is on the calendar. So everything is blocked. I would put in your calendar, maybe you do once a quarter. For me, I do once every couple of weeks. I have a couple admin, they help me with this, that I go back into the system, and anyone I've closed with recently, I'm changing them to buyer seller, and I'm making sure the e-alert is changed. You don't want to keep sending them the buyer e-alerts when they're already you literally want to make sure when they get in the contract, you stop that so they don't start seeing all these things and get distracted, right? But once they've closed on it, you want to change that to a buyer seller drip. If you already know that they might be an investor, you create a buyer one and you change the title so that when it comes up, they know, oh, future investment property for Susie, right? And then you make sure that you're sending them once a month that market update so they can see the homes that are going into contract right down the street from them. So absolutely, I would do it. I would do it automatically. I would set up a time on your calendar, maybe once a month or once a quarter, so that you make sure and you proactively go into your system and clean it up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your answers.
I see a question here. When you were working full-time, how did you balance your real estate business with your full-time job to be able to transition to real estate full-time? Number one, I hate the word balance. I literally just posted about this last night on my Instagram. It's something I'm super passionate about. I think that this idea that you should or can attain balance, I just don't think it's realistic. And I think it makes people depressed, honestly, that, oh, I have no balance and whatever. To me, I've never been striving for balance. I strive for harmony. And the way I see that is more like, this is what I want out of my life. And in this phase, like I just had a baby. I have an 8-week-old, right? And my baby before that is 1.5 years. So for me, balance looks like I'm home more physically. I may be on the computer doing Zooms back to back and all that, and I'm growing my business, whatever. But I decide what I want out of that season. And it's okay if work is a little heavier and personal is a little lower for a season. And then maybe later personal is a little higher and work is a little lower. As long as you and your partner, your friend, your family, your mother, whoever you've got like this business thing going on with, or whatever you're doing, as long as you're clear on what you want out of that season in life and what you're okay with and how it is, how you distribute the priorities, I think that's more important than trying to say that everything should be balanced, because I just feel like that's not really possible. So how did I balance it? I had really good support system. My husband believed in me more than I did. He's the only reason. Him and Brett coming to me were the only reasons I quit my job, because when I was doing it part-time, I was undercover. And frankly, we were really doing it as a means of doing it for ourselves, right? We were fine. We did some remodels and we sold our house and did all this stuff. And I've always been a person that just kind of has a lot of jobs or a lot of side hustles or whatever. So it kind of came easier to me that way. But surrounding yourself around the right people is literally the number one thing. So whether that's an assistant, whether that's a showing assistant, whether that's just a friend you kind of partner with and you have them be like accountability partners with you. One thing that's interesting that I think is laughable now, when I was full-time in tech and doing this on the side, I had a full-time, actually she was part-time at first and then became full-time assistant for my real estate business. Does that even make any sense? That should have told me right then, what are you doing? You should be doing this. But I didn't believe in myself enough and I had so much self-doubt and all of that stuff. So it took me some time to really step out on faith. I convinced her to get her license. So now she's doing her own thing and I love to see that growth. But I'm saying that to say, you just got to find the right person, the right people. And if you're a solo agent and you're finding yourself stressed out, you're annoyed that you don't have balance or whatever balance means to you, I would say try and find an intern or a part-time assistant. And I've had people say, well, I can't afford it right now. Well, you know what? If you plan on growing next year, you need to, like I had someone in tech tell me, you need to dress for the job you're trying to get. So you need to act accordingly for the growth you see happening next year. Otherwise, you're going to constantly be behind. So if that means you get an intern and you say to that intern, I can pay you, but we're going to do this like 30-day trial, right? So you don't feel the stress of being committed to having to pay someone something that you haven't made yet. But you have someone that wants to learn from you and you're also giving them work and you can grow your business the way you want to grow and have that quote unquote balance that you speak of so that you can not burn out, because this is an industry where it's so easy to burn out, right? So I just don't think you can do it on your own. I don't think anyone should do it on their own. I think you need to have some support in some way. So I hope that answers your question, Amy Texter.
Somebody asked, they want to know which area you cover. It's the Bay Area, right? San Jose?
Yes. Yeah, so I live in San Jose, but I have a team, and I used to live in the East Bay. So think anything from South Bay, like is South County is Hollister, Morgan Hill, Gilroy, all the way up to San Francisco, East Bay, Oakland area, Peninsula, Tri-Valley area. So I cover a large area because I now have 11 agents.
You also have reviews on Yelp?
I do, and I should have more.
Okay.
I have more, my most reviews are on Zillow, but Yelp, don't quote me. I don't know if they've changed, but I think Yelp is the one where you have to like have an account. So I have seen,
Yes.
yeah. So there are sometimes people that don't have an account and they don't want to create one. So I kind of, when I send them what I told you that I send them that email, I put at the bottom Yelp so that they at least get through the 3 easy ones, right? You got to be
Yes.
deliberate about this stuff. And then I put Yelp at the bottom so that if they give up or they had to have an account, I'm okay.
Any other questions, guys?
I have a question. Hi, NECA.
Hi, who's this?
I'm Marcy D'Souza. I'm out of the Glendale office.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
Hi. Just can you touch on your major sources of lead generation?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So we have Zillow Flex as a brokerage. I'm part of Real Estate Experts. We're our own brokerage. We're with a back-end brokerage. And we have Zillow Flex. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Zillow Flex? I don't know if it's in that area. Is heavy.
No, I don't know what it is.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Say that again.
No, I'm
No.
sorry. We never heard of that.
Okay. So a lot of people have Zillow, right? The old model, you buy the leads and, they call your phone and all that. They transition to have this thing called Zillow Flex, that it's just a different, you pay a referral after you close the transaction. So you're not paying up front. So I'll just leave that at that. So we have Zillow Flex. I personally, my husband and I, as we run our team, realty.com, REALTY.com. I know the owner and I have a great relationship with him, and I own about 7 cities out here, like kind of a lifetime ownership. And so he has this process where he's pulling leads. And so I am able to provide those leads to my clients as well, or to my agents as well. So that's been really good for us. I've only had that since November though. And then because I focus on the social part and because I'm diligent about my Zillow presence, Yelp, and all of that, I do get leads off of there too sometimes. And LinkedIn, that's another one I forgot to mention. LinkedIn is great because I don't post everything on LinkedIn, right? I'm not posting all my Instagram stuff on LinkedIn, but when I post something that's more like an article or just like, maybe I was on Real Producers Magazine or something like that, I use that and I post that kind of stuff on LinkedIn, and that drives engagement as well. And of course, I make sure my LinkedIn is dialed in. So all of you, if on your LinkedIn, you're not linking back to your Keller Williams business, like link back to theirs, you're missing the opportunity of a lot of connections. And again, it's just another way of being social on online. So hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Of course.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? We're almost there, 11 o'clock. If there's no other questions, NECA, I want to thank you. Truly, this was amazing. It was amazing the first time I watched your presentation, this time also. And I know everybody enjoyed it, just seeing everybody's comments and also their reaction on Zoom call. I've invited NECA to come to the Americana when she's in Southern California.
Yes.
Right, with her family.
Absolutely.
And, well, I owe you a great lunch with your family, either here or the best Armenian restaurant down the street.
I appreciate that. No, thank you so much. If there's one thing I can just leave with you guys, I love that you guys do this every Friday, and I feel super blessed that I could be a part of it. And one of the things that I'm super passionate about is doing more of this. Like, we all have to give back to each other, newer agents that are coming in, and teach them the right way. In my opinion, that makes for a better market, right? And we all want to be listing queens or kings in our area. And when we bring those offers to our sellers, how amazing is it if you're bringing amazing offers from amazing agents, because we're all giving back to each other. There's enough food out there for all of us to eat. And I think we need to do a better job of communicating and sharing best practices. And I love that you guys do this platform, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you. Nneka, you've been very inspiring. Other than being a great professional, you're a very inspiring human being person. So we so appreciate you. We really do. I know in 2 weeks I've known you, right? I feel like we become friends, right?
Yes, we have become friends. You were so, I have to say, Mike, you've been so patient with me. This last week was just super, super crazy. And I genuinely appreciate you and the person that you are. And you've already sent me some information on the book stuff that we were talking about. And it's good people like you that need to continue leading the way that you are, because it really makes a difference. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Holly, you want to do pitches right now before we sign off?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again so much. That was such a wonderful